Dark Souls 2 recently
You're not going to make me
announced-
play Dark Souls 2 now, are you?
No, we're just going to
wasn't
talk a little
prepared
bit
for that.
about it, because, Justin, we had some big news on Dark Souls 2 earlier this week.
They did. So From Software is going to be bringing the game to PS4 and Xbox One.
Hooray!
Probably not a huge surprise. I mean, this has been a year of remasters, and this is kind of the perfect game to bring over. I mean, we've had The Last of Us, other good games.
Tomb Raider.
And Dark Souls 2 is something that seems ripe for that kind of experience, because it did look better on PC, right, Kevin? When you played through the review?
Yes, it did look better, but not significantly so. It was a matter of, hey, things at a higher resolution look better, but it wasn't like a dramatic.
And so this is going to be coming out as a version called Scholar of the First Sin. And it's going to introduce a new story. There's going to be a new NPC. It's going to come as a packaged game for Xbox One, PS4, and PC, and 360 and PS3. Like there'll be a packaged version, and that's going to collect all of the DLC so far. So if you haven't played it, you'll still be able to pick it up and play it on any console you want. If you play it on PS4, Xbox One, or if you have a PC that'll support it, it's going to look a lot better. They're going to revamp the visuals, revamp the audio, like the kind of stuff that you expect from something like this.
It's going to be DirectX 11 on PC.
Yeah.
But if you've already played it, even if you already own the game, all of that story stuff is still going to come to you. You're still going to be able to play it through a free update that's coming to the last-gen versions.
Just not the production value stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, of course, all those increased visuals and that kind of stuff.
And all the bonus new content that they sort of mentioned. They mentioned the NPC. They mentioned, then there's not going to be like, because there's not a new DLC
level
pack in the sense that like the Lost Crowns or Lost Kings. What was that trilogy of DLC?
It was a trilogy: Crown of the Sunken King, Crown of the blah blah
so
blah
it's
King.
not new in like that's all included in Scholar of the First Sin. So what do you think? Like, is this a game you would, Kevin? You've played Dark Souls 2. You've played a lot of it.
A tad.
Is this a game you would
tad.
go back to over the weekend?
Totally.
On a next-gen console?
Totally. But I mean,
console?
I think the original Dark Souls is the best game of its generation. So definitely I would go back. And I'm curious. I mean, we know that there will be upgrades and stuff like that, but that trailer doesn't do a very good job of like really selling me.
Is it like a teaser?
We'll
actually take a look at it in a minute.
Yeah, it doesn't do a good job on selling me on having to do that, but of course I would do that because I love the games. But I'm curious to know whether, this is now going to be their chance. Because of course there was the whole kerfuffle over the original footage that they showed and how the lighting changed. Like the lighting became a lot flatter, and the whole idea of torches seemed really cool in the beginning, but it ended up being a real missed opportunity in the actual game, partially because I suspect they toned that stuff down because they couldn't get it to run very well with that lighting model. So I'm curious now that we get the more powerful consoles, does this mean now that they're actually going to implement the old lighting model, and we might actually get to play the Dark Souls 2 we sort of imagined it would be?
Well, the Dark Souls 2 that they showed when we first saw it.
the Dark Souls 2 that they did show that then never came. Now, obviously, I think Dark Souls 2 is excellent regardless, but I'm curious to see how this would even change the game if suddenly the lighting was changed and it became more dynamic and you actually needed to carry around that torch.
Yeah, are areas more perilous? Does carrying around the torch is a logistical consideration that you have to sort of work into your strategy?
Right.
Do you approach areas differently because of that, or is it just kind of like, oh yeah, I could have a torch and see a little better, or maybe just like bump the brightness up on my monitor? Yeah.
That's what I do.
Oh, sorry.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. When a game is dark, no, just bump the brightness.
You don't like Dark Souls anyway. Why are you here?
I don't not like Dark Souls. I don't. I just don't think it's fun.
It's fun is kind of an elusive thing to find.
It's trying to be
in Dark Souls.
That's a problem for me. I don't think that this version is probably not going to introduce the fun mode for people who like Nintendo games. Do you like Mario Kart? Here's the Dark Souls for you. No, probably not.
What about Scholar of the First Sin doesn't scream Nintendo to you? I mean,
what is the first sin?
The first sin. What is the first sin?
Nudity.
Well, I don't know.
Is that a sin?
That is not. Nudity is not.
Because they covered up a lot. They were
eating apples.
No, it's because they ate from the fruit of tree and knowledge. So now they have the knowledge that it is shameful.
Learning,
eating fruit.
So otherwise, they would have just lived their lives in happy harmony.
So this dude has been studying people eating fruit.
I'm
for
a
long
biblical
time.
scholar.
We've gotten into Dark Souls fan fiction territory here right now. I think we're going to wrap it up. Scholar of the First Sin, it's coming out in April of next year?
April of next year. So 2015, it'll be a early 2015 title for us to look forward to.
Also, the added benefit, a friend of mine was just lamenting the fact that he got the DLC for Dark Souls 2 too late, and the servers are not populated anymore. And so hopefully, with this new release, maybe the DLC that has gone sort of dormant on last-gen consoles will once again be revived and have people in there.
And one thing that's interesting,
another great thing.
Well, how this might kind of fracture the PC crowd, because it's going to be a different experience on DirectX 11 versus DirectX 9. Is that going to also split up the PC guys? Like, we don't know that yet, but we'll get more details on that as it gets closer to launch.
I guess we'll check it out. Cool, guys.